Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for November 11th, 2025. I'm Dave DuFour here with Zena Keita. Coming up, a crazy Monday night in the NBA. We had buzzer beaters. We had game winners. We had game tyings. I mean, just a crazy night. We're going to try to cover as much of it as we can. Also, Wes Goldberg is here from Locked On Heat. We're going to jump into Miami and Cleveland's crazy finish and what the Heat have done to start the year. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zena. That was the longest intro I think I've ever done on the show.
Ooh, that's okay. I needed time to catch my breath. So that's good that you took
too much
your
stuff
time
happened last night, Zena. Too much stuff for us to possibly cover. Luka Doncic had 38 points, by the way. We're not going to talk about it. We've got to start. We've got to start with the Detroit Pistons, the hottest team in basketball. They had the Washington Wizards on the second night of a back-to-back. You know what we call that, Zena?
A trap game.
That's right. Trap game. And man, it looked like they were going to lose. And, Cade Cunningham had one of the most ridiculous stat lines that you're ever going to see. And I don't mean this in a good way. Okay.
Yeah.
He was 14 for 45, Zena. 45 field goal attempts to score 46 points. He had 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, was 2 of 11 from 3, 16 of 18 from the free throw line. And this felt like a game, we talk about Jalen Brunson as a boxer a lot. This felt like a fighter in the 12th round for the entire game. They looked beat, and it's the style of play. It's how fast and how hard they go. But for them to have pulled out this game and force it into overtime, when they really looked like they just had no legs until late.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very impressive game, very impressive win. Cade, look, he put up all these points, but we got to start with, I believe it's Dennis Jenkins.
Danis.
Thank you. Jenkins. Okay, thank you. Yes. You looked it up. All right. Danis Jenkins, who was a superhero off the bench.
Yeah,
superhero off the bench.
Color commentary saying Danis Jenkins before this game had not scored in double figures in his career in the NBA, and then comes in and in the fourth quarter hits 3 and then the fourth 3 to take it to overtime in a play in which he was a decoy.
Yeah.
He was propped up in the corner.
Just don't move.
Supposed to be. Exactly. Don't move. And it was a last ditch effort. Cade Cunningham's like, I got to get the ball in. Gives it to Jenkins. Jenkins pops it up and it's in. I mean, unbelievable play for Jenkins. Overall, he took over that fourth quarter to even allow Detroit to be in that conversation. This is a guy that a lot of folks probably don't know.
I don't know how to say his first name, Zena.
I'm saying, exactly. Unless you're a Detroit fan, you probably had never heard of this kid. And so, yes, help Detroit get to that point. The fact that Cade Cunningham has now set a new record for missed field goals in a game with 31, but ends up, 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, takes over in overtime to be able to help his team get the win. You kind of ignore it. Like it's a weird accolade now to have under your record, but you ignore it. You got the win. And now you have this win streak, 7 games in a row. 7 games in a row for Detroit. Phenomenal effort for them to pull that out.
Yeah. They've got Chicago next. So tough one. Chicago. We'll talk about them.
You
want to
talk about Chicago?
We're going to talk about them in a little bit because Wemby is really why.
Yeah,
but we got to talk about the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic had lost a few games in a row and they needed a win. They were facing the Portland Trailblazers. It was going to be interesting, Zena. Orlando's offense has struggled, right? Like they just don't really have the guard play that they need. And Portland has been interesting this season with the ball pressure. And so that was something we were watching. And look, it's another game, came down to the wire, and we saw multiple big shots in this game. I want to Tumani Kamara threw an absolute dime on an inbound pass to Jeremy Grant, who Jeremy Grant finishes this alley-oop sort of with a tip in through contact, gets an and one. That was such an unbelievable play that I thought we were like, okay, well, that's the end of the game. We're probably done here. That's what we're going to talk about, Zena. But then Desmond Bane happened, and he threw up. Look, when he took the dribble, so Desmond Bane on an inbound pass, less than 2 seconds left, gets the ball. He takes a dribble, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a mistake. You don't have time. You need to just turn and fire. And it turns out he gets the shot up. It's all net. And we're sitting here having a different conversation than we were going to have, because we were about to say, wow, the Orlando Magic have just completely fallen apart again. But this is the sort of win, Zena, that I don't know. Maybe it's a galvanizer. Desmond Bane, maybe it's symbolic that Desmond Bane, the new guy, like hits this big shot. It's also symbolic that big shot was the only three he made the whole night. And you talked about Toumani Camara being a part of that Jeremy Grant physics-defying alley-oop finish. But also Toumani Camara was involved in that defensive play against Desmond Bane. I mean, you could not have asked for a better contest straight up in his face. And Desmond Bane was just ice in his veins, being able to close that out. I know Jamal Mosley, gave something to Desmond Bane on the way out of that arena. Appreciate you, bro, because things were looking real murky down in Orlando. So it was a great win to be able to pull that out against a really feisty defensive team in Portland. And also Deni Avdija. Like, we don't even get to talk about Shaedon Sharpe dropping 31 points. Deni Avdija, Sharpe shooting 27 points. Like, all of that goes out the window because Desmond Bane stood up and took care of this win. And you talk about the offense, like, it has been an issue of incorporating Desmond Bane. And you hope that in moving forward, it's not going to be just grenades or, situations in which he's saving games, but you do want to see him folded into the offense a little bit more seamlessly. Yeah. And down the stretch of that game, by the way, it was apparent, like, the half court offense, not great. Paolo Banchero hit a few free throws that could have put the game away. I mean, I think that's probably something that's going to come up for him, although I don't know. I don't know how you aren't exhausted by that point in the game with the way that Portland plays. And especially with the pace that both teams were playing there down the stretch. But I don't know. Huge shot, crazy shot. Just amazing night. Crazy shot. Even. And we're going to talk with Wes after the break, about the crazy shooting at the end of Cleveland, Miami. But it just was one of these nights where it feels like everyone was on crazy pills. By the way, Grayson Allen had 42 points. Again, I'm just going to sprinkle in all these other things that happened. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. That we're not even talking about these games. Oh, by the way, have we talked Detroit? Yeah, we talked Cade Cunningham in that same game. CJ McCollum, 42 points, but put that to the side real quick. Yeah. Go ahead. By the way, Wizards are fun. Victor Wembanyama. He had 18 points in the fourth quarter. He had 38 points overall, 12 rebounds, blocked 5 shots. Just an absolutely ridiculous night by any measure. Even just Victor Wembanyama, he hit 6 threes. No one's ever put up that stat line in NBA history, Zena. And he did it in a way down the stretch of the game, again, in the fourth quarter. And we talked about how he had a few rough games there, when teams were getting more physical. But he did this in the fourth quarter when they needed him to. He came in, they were losing. He took over this game, and especially like the last 2 minutes of this game, it was all Victor Wembanyama. Guess what I love? 2 games now, De'Aaron Fox is back. Victor Wembanyama looking good. Yeah. Victor Wembanyama coming back and feeling like he's, part of this rhythm. I also love a 2 big man lineup. Luke Kornet was really big here. Yeah. Being able to easily be the screener in their offense, roll into the basket, being able to take some defense with them. I love that he was just, around the basket, allowing Victor Wembanyama to do his thing. When you looked at some of the shots that he was hitting in the fourth quarter, the threes that he was taking, he was playing a point forward. He was out further away from the basket where he likes to be, right? Where he likes to be. And that allowed Luke Kornet to handle things inside. I love this two big lineup that they've got going on. We'll see how long they can last with it. But you missed the part that I really wanted you to hit. Victor had 18 points in that fourth quarter. Yeah. Guess how much the Chicago Bulls had in that fourth quarter? Okay. 19. To their defense, they were missing Josh Giddey. Okay. And that's still true. No Kobe White. True. Right. But this was a game. Hey, another game, though, that the Bulls, you probably wouldn't think they were going to be in. They were in it. They had a chance to win it. And there's a world in which if Giddey's out there, if he doesn't get hurt by DeAndre Hunter on that ankle breaker, that maybe they have a chance to win this game. Down the stretch, they did have some shots to take the lead that you could think about him getting dribble penetration on. But either way, look, the Spurs look great. They're not even at full strength because Dylan Harper's still out. Wemby, again, when he's got the guards around him, he looks kind of untouchable. Anything else from last night, Zena, that I missed that we need to hit? I mean, Cooper Flagg had a fantastic game in the loss,
still took the
Mavericks loss. Yeah, against the Bucks.
That was tough. But he looked good. He looked competitive. Career high now, 26 points in that game. There was some interesting shot taking at the end of games by veterans. Giannis Antetokounmpo in that game against Dallas. James Harden in the Clippers loss to Atlanta. I mean, interesting decision making towards the end. Yes, the Clippers with their 5th straight loss. There's a lot there that particularly the Clippers have to think about in terms of moving forward. They're just not clicking. The connectivity is just not there, especially defensively. But so much last night. But we got to get to Miami and Cleveland.
We do, because that game was sick. Monday night has just set up the storylines for the week. It's going to be a fun week.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stick around after the break. Wes Goldberg to relive the Cleveland Cavaliers Miami Heat thriller and that game winner from Andrew Wiggins. The Miami Heat are one of the teams in the Eastern Conference off to a fun start, and the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers last night had everything. Zena, we were going nuts over our group text.
Crazy.
I mean, Jaime Jaquez hits the big shot to send it to overtime. Donovan Mitchell hit a shot that doesn't even seem real. And then an amazing inbound game winner to Andrew Wiggins. Our good buddy Wes Goldberg, the host of Locked On Heat, was in the building. He's here right now to talk about it. Wes, I know you got a new baby at home. This was a long night for you. Was it more exciting than the birth of your child?
You know what? It was up there. Don't tell my wife, but it was like
what a fun game, man.
Unbelievable, man. I am glad it didn't go into 2 overtimes because I am a little sleep deprived, but it looked like it was going there after that Donovan Mitchell shot, but then 0.4 seconds on the clock. Eric Spoelstra said after the game that he had this play on his play sheet for 4 years. Might be an exaggeration, but gave a lot of credit to assistant coach Chris Quinn on that one. And a really cool play. I don't know how many times you guys have watched it, because for me, Andrew Wiggins just darting to the rim wide open. Yeah. Obviously, your eyes go to him. And then you have to rewatch it. Luckily, I was filming it in person, so I kind of have it on my phone. And it was a really cool play design with Norm Powell kind of zipping through what kind of was like an elevator doors situation as a decoy. And Cleveland's defense acted like they had never seen a ball screen before. And maybe they hadn't, because it had been like a full regulation and overtime with almost no ball screens because of this Heat offense. They reacted like they were totally confused. Wiggins gets the wide open dunk there. He said after the game, too, he didn't even know how open he was because he was just so focused on just trying to catch the ball and put it in the basket in the time allotted. So a really fun way to end this one after that crazy Donovan Mitchell shot. You just thought for sure this was going into 2 overtimes, and somehow they pulled this one out.
Are you aware of the fact that this was the second inbound, like kind of game winner or buzzer beater of the night? Or did you see the Jeremy Grant?
Oh, no. I didn't notice that. What happened?
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you catch up on Orlando, Orlando also had a bunch of crazy shots. Desmond Bane hit a game winner
at the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it one of those nights in the NBA?
It was one of those nights, Wes. When you go and catch up, because you also host Real GM Radio, so you cover the entire NBA. When you go and catch up, you got a lot in store. It's going to be like a little bit of a gift tomorrow morning. Anyway, back to this game. Listen, the Heat. They've been playing fast. I think it was one of the secrets to their success in the game with the Cavs, because there were times where, it just felt like the Cavs couldn't keep up, especially Jared Allen to me, who didn't look great. What do you think about how Miami has started out, and what did we see in last night's game that you've seen over the course of the start of this season?
Well, the up-tempo, right? I mean, that's the first thing that jumps out. The hit-ahead passes, they're trying to get the ball up the floor in one pass or less, even after makes. That is the name of the game for Eric Spoelstra right now. I mean, this is not a team for being like, they don't have an elite shot creator on the team. Norm Powell's been awesome for them. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has been great, but they don't have like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or a Giannis or a Jokic on this roster. So they have to find different ways to create advantages. And one of the things that Eric Spoelstra has put together here with this system is we're going to create advantage with our speed. And there's playing fast, and there's playing fast like the Heat are playing. I mean, they're breaking records right now, not just for a tempo, but also for like the lack of ball screens and stuff. And I think it's really interesting that what Eric Spoelstra has decided is, you know, if we get guys involved in ball screens and we kind of do all this switching and mismatch hunting thing, we don't really have an advantage in those scenarios most of the time, especially with Tyler Herro out to start the year. But maybe we can create an advantage with our tempo. And if we can get our guys in space, 9 times out of 10, an NBA player is going to be able to beat an NBA player off the dribble. I mean, offense just generally in this day and age beats defense. And that's sort of the bet that Spo made. It didn't look great in the preseason, guys. I'm kind of shocked how good it looks almost right away in the regular season, but something cracked. They cracked the code here. It works. I mean, at least it has worked so far. They're top 15 in offense for the first time in what feels like forever. Literally, they were in the bottom 3 in offensive rating in each of the last 3 years. This is a new team. It's not a Jimmy Butler team anymore. It's younger. It's more athletic. They want to run, and they want to distribute the ball and kind of get everybody involved here. So whatever's going on right now, it's working.
It definitely feels as if the team that we were looking in the preseason felt like the team that we saw when Jimmy Butler was off the floor. Not a ton of organization, not a ton of intentionality in terms of you've got the ball or we know where we're going with things. And so I was a little concerned coming into this season for Miami in terms of have they flipped the switch? Looking at this game feels like a marker, like a delineation, particularly because the last 6 times that Miami had played the Cleveland Cavaliers, they took an L. The last 2 times they played the Cleveland Cavaliers, they lost by 55 points and by 37 points. Like these were big, big losses. To do this without Tyler Herro, without Bam Adebayo, it feels like, okay, put some respect on Miami Heat for sure. But now it also puts a spotlight on, is this enough? Do they have enough pieces? And I'm curious, how do you really turn the page and say, yeah, we're doing something different, and it's enough to sustain us to be contenders? What would you say the Miami Heat really need right now to continue on this trail of progress?
I think, first of all, you need to see what this looks like when Tyler Herro comes back, first and foremost, before you make any sort of major decisions about the roster or even in the system, right? I mean, we saw Cleveland go to zone a little bit in this game, and we've seen some opponents do that recently to try to slow down this attack, right? Because in that zone, you're going to have 2 guys typically in those corners. And a lot of Miami's actions start with the corners. You know, they kind of have that wheel that goes round and round. Well, that wheel can't go round and round if you got 2 guys planted in the corner trying to stop that wheel from turning. And it's worked to different degrees. It hasn't worked so much to the point where Miami's lost a bunch of these games, but you're starting to see the scouting reports catch up. I thought Cleveland's defense early in this game, not so much later in this game, but I thought they were doing a really good job of kind of getting back in transition. Like they had clearly scouted this Heat offense, but they do need another dose of, I think, playmaking and scoring in Tyler Herro. Yeah. And Tyler Herro thrived last year, made an all-star game, mostly as a pick and roll guy. And as we know, they're not running much pick and roll now. I think you can look at this in 2 ways when Herro comes back. It's either, hey, like he's just not going to run the pick and roll and we're going to find other ways to unlock his talents, which I think, you know, as a pull-up 3-point shooter, I think he's one of the best in the world. I think there's a lot of room for him to grow, or at least a lot of low-hanging fruit there for him to kind of just grab and go and get those quick early in the shot clock threes. I think he can find kind of another level of efficiency in that way. But also, maybe they do run a little bit more pick and roll, right? Like I don't think Eric Spoelstra
switch it up, right? Yeah,
I don't think Spo is sort of against anything. I think he's very willing to kind of experiment and figure things out. So we haven't seen this team at full strength, which is kind of crazy. I mean, even before Bam went out, now especially with Bam out, but you're seeing a lot of growth from the young guys as they get these reps. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has been amazing. Kel'el Ware had maybe his best game in a Heat uniform in this one. Jovic has been sort of up and down, but had a career night the other night. So, yeah, I think they want to kind of see what this team looks like. And Spo, you know, this ain't it, right? Like he's got stuff up his sleeves. He's got the counters. He knows what's coming. And that'll be exciting to kind of watch as he kind of continues to coach this team.
Hell, we saw that last out of bounds play. Like that's enough evidence for you if you don't have any. But I'm curious, you're talking about, yes, injecting Tyler Herro's pick and roll playing in open space, going downhill. I'm not necessarily too worried about, what he's going to be doing. I'm more curious about how does that fit with Norman Powell? Because this is the guy that has come in from the Clippers and taken, I'm not going to say the throne, but he's taken a comfortable seat as a top scorer on this team. 33 points last night against Cleveland, averaging 23 on the season. Like, he looks comfortable in this kind of chaotic offense that's rolling right now. But we know that when he was at the Clippers, he also came off the pick and roll, but he was also more an off-ball player, right? So now with a Tyler Herro in the mix, I'm very curious as to how that's going to look, because we know Jaime Jaquez, they've been able to play the roles, right, around a Tyler Herro. They've done that before. But this will be new for Norman Powell to be able to play those two together. What are your thoughts on how they'll mesh?
Yeah, I mean, before Herro got hurt, I remember talking with this team in Vegas, and it was sort of right after the Powell acquisition, and they were pretty bullish on what they could do as a backcourt together. And I think they knew, like, yeah, we're not going to be really a team with a true point guard out there. It's going to be kind of everybody by committee here. And so there was going to be room for Powell and for Herro. I think there's a lot of room for more shot making on this offense. I mean, as great as these games are and as up-tempo as they are and as fun as they are, this is still not like one of the top 10 offenses in the league. Like I said, they're just above average. There's a lot of room for more shot making. They're just playing fast, right? They're not necessarily making a ton of shots, but if you replace some of these Simone Fontecchio and Drew Smith and maybe even some of these Davion Mitchell minutes, which to me, that's the guy that I'm more concerned about than Norm, frankly, is what happens with Davion when Herro comes back, because he kind of kicked out of the starting lineup because he's been really important for them as sort of a fastball. But I think there's going to be room there. And Norm, to your point, like, he's played off, like, one of his superpowers, other than, to me, what makes him great in this offense is the quick decision making. We know that coaches always talk about 0.5ing, shoot, dribble, or pass in half a second. He's like 0.2ing out there. He is so fast with these decisions, and it's such a great fit for this offense that tends to also fit anywhere. And he's had a great career playing next to Kawhi in two different locations, playing off of James Harden. He's talked about this. Like, I'm not worried about Norm whatsoever, regardless of who's involved in the offense.
How do they get more out of Bam? Because that's the thing that's missing. You mentioned Cleveland going into the zone, and they immediately missed Bam, in my opinion, right? Bam flashing to the nail, being able to make the pass to the cutters. He's great at that, but he doesn't score enough consistently. The three ball is, we're going to call it a project, right? Like, let's be graceful. He doesn't really create like he did a few years ago. Like, the mid-range game's just not there. How do they find a way to unlock his offensive game so that this team can actually be a top 10 offense? Because that really is going to be the trick.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to when you got Tyler Herro back. It's not only to get Tyler Herro involved, but to get more production from the center spot in general. It's not just Bam, you're absolutely right, but it's also Kalel. I mean, he had a great game tonight, but it's really just kind of tip-ins for him. It's offensive rebounds, and that's sort of where he's kind of gobbling up points right now. But you could use more lobs to Ware. You can use more lobs to Bam. They don't, like, Davion's okay at throwing that, but Tyler Herro is really the guy that has the chemistry with those two guys that he's already established. So that might be a way to do it. I think it's also worth noting that within this offense, there are very strict rules, right? Like, you got to space in a certain way. You got to cut through in certain ways. We talked about the wheel, all that stuff, right? Bam's kind of the only guy who's allowed to freelance.
Yeah.
He's really the guy that you're just saying, yeah, your spot really is the mid-range, that free throw line jumper. When you need to go get it, go ahead and get it. And I think that's Eric Spoelstra empowering Bam, who's the team captain, obviously, to kind of do his thing. But they also realize that you're going to have to get him going offensively for as great as Bam is defensively. Everybody's got to eat some food, right? And Bam's got to be able to have something on his plate. So I think that's the key there. But yeah, I think when Tyler Herro comes back, maybe that's when you start to layer in some pick and rolls. If not, I do still think that with Bam and Ware, you could still space them. I think there's a lot more stuff to be done with some of that baseline dunker spot stuff. It still feels like that's kind of right to exploit a little bit more. We saw that again late in this game against Cleveland. Maybe that's another spot too.
You know what's interesting? We talk about Bam and we're saying, like, let's get some more out of him. Like, he's averaging 20 and 8, right? Like, it's not a bad situation here that, what he's providing. Is it more so when you guys ask, like, you want more out of Bam? Is it more points? Is it more seamlessness within the offense in terms of just easy buckets? Like, what is it that you're looking for out of Bam that you want?
For me, I'm looking for consistent creation. right? They are missing a person in that spot that can create for other guys, make things easier for the offense. I mean, like his DHO game, it's not a real threat in my opinion. And part of that, right. And part of that is because that mid-range jumper just isn't there. So it's, 28 is great, but numbers they don't really lie to you, but they can mislead you a little bit. And I do think that, while he's a good and very effective player, that there is a little bit more meat on the bone with him. And part of that is that offensive creation that he's missing.
It's how he folds in, right?
Right.
I think that's part of it too. He does kind of feel left out in the rest of this offense. Sometimes he is to your point, the numbers are good. I actually think that we're a little too hard on Bam in general. And he's literally elite at everything and merely very good at scoring. And it's just we're always asking for more from this guy. But, I think that there's instances where, and we haven't seen him play with Ware a ton. And I'm wondering if after the Ware kind of gets more reps here, if Spo leans into that lineup a little bit more. They were starting obviously for a little while and then they went away from it. But when they do that, Bam is able to attack smaller guys. And those isolation possessions, there's a ton of those. That's the entire offense. There's a ton of those available in this offense. I'd love to see him kind of in that Pascal Siakam type role, where he's constantly being just trying to bully a 6'8" kind of undersized forward instead of having to go against 7-footers all the time. Because Bam's handle is okay. It's not great. I think there's definitely room for it to improve. So yeah, he's got maybe the athleticism to get by 7-footers who are in front of him, but he doesn't necessarily have the handle to do it. But when he's bullying younger guys, then all of a sudden he becomes a real big. And
we want Team USA Bam.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, though, Team USA Bam's got Team USA Steph Curry. He's got Team USA Kevin Durant.
That's why he can play the three.
Team USA
Bam is hey, if we could just get Miami Heat Tyler Herro out here, maybe we can get something done. I agree with you, Wes. He and Ware, I think Ware unlocks a lot for him. And then when Tyler Herro's out there, that's a 3-man kind of pick and roll option combination that you probably get some stuff done. Guys, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you to Wes Goldberg. Guys, go and check him out. Locked On Heat. He does a great job covering the Heat, but also Real GM Radio. I was a guest on the show last week. I had some pretty good rants, especially about bringing over European coaching styles and how that might not work in the NBA. So go and check that out if you're curious about that. But thank you very much, Wes, for hanging out. For Wes Goldberg and Zena Keita, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.